everybody, so today I want to do a share and maybe a little bit of a tutorial, and I'm not sure if this is going to be a 1 or 2 part video, just to go over some polymer clay tiles and mosaics that I have made. And I use white Sculpey clay for the most part, but you could use any clay. And I made these tiles because I wanted to cover this box and make like a little keepsake box. It's just a hinged wooden box I got at Michael's for a couple dollars. I also bought these wooden wheels to go as like legs on the bottom, so it would stand up. And in my journey to figure out what kind of theme I wanted, I wasn't quite sure, so I used a bunch of mediums that I'm going to kind of go over with you guys. First off, I use mica powders, and I used Pearl X, and I might have used some of my Ranger Perfect Pearls. And I tried to decorate with some beads because I seen, especially Sarah from my Serenity Crafts, she does a lot of amazing tile work. You should check out her videos because she makes some great things. And she likes to incorporate beads and stuff. But I wasn't sure, and I kind of put the beads in and then baked, and they kind of distorted. So maybe either I baked them, like if I did them at a lower temperature or not that long, they wouldn't have, but they kind of distorted out a little bit. And it wasn't kind of the look that I was going for. And what I did with those is I pressed in some texture. And these are made for clay. You can use regular stamps, but these textures are actually made for clay. And that's what I used on those. And then my next thing was to do the Pebeo paint. I had Pebeo paint that I don't use because it's kind of, for me, difficult to use because of the solvents inside. And but the great thing about the Pebeo paint is you let it spread on, and it's a very hard shell, and you don't have to glaze your tiles when you use this because it's very, very shiny. It's as shiny as if you as anything that you would put a glaze on. You don't have to glaze it, and it gives a really hard shell. Let me show the effects it gives. So it gives like these really cool prism, and I hope the camera picks that up. It's like you just put the paint out, and I use a toothbrush. I don't use my paintbrushes because it's really hard to get out of the paintbrushes. I'm not an artist. I don't have that many solvents to clean paintbrushes with. I'm sure if you had like turpentine or something, it would clean them. But I just kind of use a toothpick, and I kind of let it spread out, and then it does. So this is the paint. I'll show you. It's Pebeo paints, and this is the Moon Fantasy and the Prism Fantasy. And it kind of just gives, once you let it go and it spreads out, it starts making these prism and different effects. Again, though, that's not what I was looking for this project, so I moved on and I tried using acrylic paints. However, I must have been doing something wrong because a lot of my paints came out streaky, and I'll show you, especially on the one that's not glazed. And I could be doing something wrong. I tried some different paints, like craft paints and some better artist acrylic paints, but no matter what I tried, a lot of them, sometimes they were coming out, not always, but they would come out a little bit streaky, and I wasn't necessarily happy with the finished look on those. Some came out okay, but that's okay. So that was with the acrylic paint. Then I just got the idea that I would paint the acrylic paint, but then I would stamp on them. So these are ones that I painted, and then I put different stamps on them, and I really wasn't too happy with that look. So then my next thing was to use colored clay, and then I would just stamp on the colored clay. So these are using colored clay with just a black archival ink, and make sure you use archival ink because I tried doing it with some other inks because I wanted to do different colors, and then when I put the gloss on to glaze them afterwards, it disintegrated the ink. So that's important, that you want to have like an archival or a permanent dye-based ink. So moving on to try to find something that I did like, I then tried using these, which is liquid clay. I just took clay, made some stamp impressions into the clay, and then I put liquid clay over them, and I wasn't really that happy with this look either. But I will show you which ones I use in case you'd want to use them. I used the Kato liquid polymer clay, and I got this like at Hobby Lobby. They were on clearance. And if you can see though, the colors are really, like, this is the green in the bottle, and then this is how the green comes out, and this is the red in the bottle, and this is how the red comes out. So they come out very muted, more like a pastel version of that color. And so again, wasn't really happy. Then I moved on to my pan pastels. And the pan pastels I actually really, really like. These are my pan pastels. If you've never used them, they're artist quality pastels. They're fantastic, very pigmented, but they are pricey. Like this 20 pack costs about almost $70. You can look around and get them for better prices. Maybe I got them for $60. I really did look around, and I got 2 sets. So they're expensive, but they work great. So I'm pretty sure, I'm positive that I did like these with the pan pastels. I know I did these with the pan pastels. So, I mean, they're great. They cover easy. And these you would do before you bake your clay. So for the pan pastels, you do it before you bake the clay, and you just brush them on, and they come out really, really nice. Great colors, depending on which colors you have. Now, since I don't have that many variety of colors, I decided, and since the pan pastels work so good, I decided to use some chalks, because a lot of people, when you're doing clay, they will use chalks to color their clay, and you just scrape it on, and I'll show that either in another video or later on in this video, how you just scrape it off, pick it up with a paintbrush, and again, but you do it before, you should do it before you bake your clay. And these are cheap. These are from like Michael's, and they're like $5 for a whole 36 set of chalk. And I did forget at one point, and I baked the clay. I started baking the clay and forgot that I wanted to try the chalk on them, so I took them out, but they were pretty much already hard. And the chalk does not stick as well once you have already baked your clay. However, it will, and it kind of gives like a nice little muted color, or like more pastel-y looking. And if that's a look that you want, which I actually kind of like the look, you could try doing that too. So that again, I had kind of baked the clay. I think these are all maybe done with the chalks too. So I really do, and this is done with the chalks. I like the way the chalks look and the pastels. Those are my favorites. So that's what I think I'm going to go with on this particular box. However, trying all my different mediums, I continue to try more. So I thought, hey, how about alcohol ink? And I got out some of my alcohol inks. And I have to say, if you like a darker or a grungier type look, I really liked the alcohol inks for that kind of a darker, grungier look. I mean, this one, and I think I just poured the ink on and then I blotted it, and if you can see like just the different textures and stuff on there, I liked how that came out. So that was something I would probably use on maybe not this project, but definitely on future project. And then I think the only other thing I did was I figured, hey, let me try some glass paint. And the glass paint actually works really good. So I had like a lot of glass paint. I was gonna kind of do paint some glass like boat candle holders and stuff, and I never really got into it, but I had like the kit of the glass paint. And this also, you don't have to put any kind of a gloss over it. It dries really hard and shiny, and it kind of almost looks like a tile, like a glass tile. So that works out really well too. And I think those are all the different mediums that I tried. I did try a lot trying to get the look, and but I was mostly happy with the pan pastels. And here's one that are baked, but they are not glossed yet. So you can see how they would look before you put the gloss on them, the kind of color that you get from them. And that's it. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick show on how I made some of these titles. I don't want this to be too long, but I just used Sculpey clay. I think you could use any clay, even like some of the less expensive ones like the Michaels, the Craftsmart would work well. Actually, it might work better because the Sculpey gets really soft, and sometimes you don't really need it for these tiles for the clay to be that soft and pliable, because you're not really working to make like a lot of bending it into shapes. So I just run it through my pasta machine. I've been running it on my thickest setting, and as you can see, my tiles are pretty thick. And then what I do is I've been flipping it over. I think in the past I'll either run it on a thinner setting, or I'll just run it on the thick setting and leave it as is. And I just cut out some shapes. And as you can see, like on this one, how I like doing some of these that are kind of together. So I might cut out like a rectangle, you can use like these pointy tools. However, I actually found that I kind of liked using just like a regular pencil, which I don't have right now. But I almost liked using like a regular pencil. Let me see if I can do this. So I kind of just like make, just like kind of, yeah, I like using these because I find the other ones dig into the clay too much. And then I just make some like this. And I might make some little like swirls. Maybe some dots. And then I would just cut it and put it into some like this. Okay. Another thing I like to do is, and you know, you could also, let me put these down here. So making some geometric shapes in them where you could just, I usually use like a butter knife, and I'll use maybe the back side because I don't want the serrated side to go in, and you could just make some different little squares. And let's just make like one more of these where you could make maybe like some crisscross things. All different kinds of patterns. Actually, that one's terrible, but you get the idea. And then the other thing I like to do is, say like with my extras, I really like doing some of these kind of like shapes and like the little animals and stuff. So I'll show you how I did those real quick. Just run this, and these I'll just run through the pasta machine at like a thinner setting, not the thick setting. So let's say I just want to make couple little squares, and I have these cute little, I have these really cute little cutouts. And these, I have these little cutters, and these cutters, you can get these at like any kind of a Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's. I think, I don't know if I picked mine up at Hobby Lobby, but you know, you use a coupon. I think they're made by Sculpey, and they're made just for clay. So I would take just the thinner clay piece, because you don't need it that thick, and just kind of pop it through, and then I cut it out, and then I just use something to pop it out with, and then to stick it on top of piece. And there I have my little dragonfly on here. You can see. Another thing I like making is little houses. So I would take that, and I would take maybe like a littler rectangle. I would take like a square. And let's take a little triangle. I mean, these are just fun. You know, you just have fun with it. Oh, that one can't come off. Okay, so then I kind of made my little house. And then I can just kind of decorate it, like make the door. And maybe like a window. And that would be like my little house. Here's a couple houses that I made before. I like making different ones. And then the other thing you can do is you can just take your stamps and stamp into them to make the impressions. Like this is a flower stamp and a little heart stamp, like just a regular rubber stamp that I had, or the acrylic stamps. And I won't show you because, I mean, obviously, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory to just do that. What you can do is like with your craft knife is you just kind of shave a little bit of color on here, and then pick it up with a brush, and you can just kind of color it. And it doesn't give the darkest color in the world, but I mean, if you like that kind of lighter color. The pan pastels definitely give a darker color than the regular chalks, but the more you put on, obviously the darker it will eventually get. And then let's see, what do I want to do for the background? Maybe I'll do a light color for the background. So I'll just kind of put some of that down and then color around it. I mean, it's very easy. And there you go. There I have my little guy colored up. And then I would just bake it per the instructions. Then I just gloss them using like I use the Judican Diamond Glaze, but you could use any kind of glaze. I know Sculpey makes a glaze, and you could use like Triple Thick. I mean, there's plenty of things that you can use to gloss over, even like glossy accents. And that's it. And then it's just trying to fit them together. So I think I'll make another video as I'm trying to put my box together to see how it comes out. But thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.